Hey, friends, let's talk about chronic stress and the ways that grief and loss impacts it. I'm Dr. Tina Armstrong, and welcome to the Living Connected channel, where we help high achieving Black women return to a state of calm and rest their nervous system. Why? This work is personal to me. Even though I'm a researcher, even though I have studied Black women's spirituality and health for years, it wasn't until I took head knowledge to heart knowledge that my life transformed. And I'm here to help Black women to take a break before they break. So, if we think about the nervous system, we recognize that there's so many ways in which the things we do, the way we show up to life, complicates our reactions, complicates our abilities to return to a state of calm. But there are things we can do. And I was watching Crystal Evans Hurst in her video, When the Holidays Hurt and How to Handle Grief During the Holidays, that I felt compelled to come on this channel and share with you things that we can do to help our nervous system revert to a state of calm. So make sure you like, share, and comment on this video. When we think about our nervous systems, especially around the holidays, we are getting input from videos, from being in the stores and hearing the music, to childhood memories. There's so much that comes to mind where we feel this need to sometimes be more merry and push out some of the more negative things that have helped us. Well, guess what? Trying to create a Chinese wall between what you're feeling and how you're showing up really doesn't happen. We typically always begin to leak what's really going on. So why not just remove the wall and jump on in? So ladies, let me tell you about being rooted. Being rooted is really an acronym that helps us to settle our nervous systems. The first thing that we need to do is really reset how we are showing up. That reset is an opportunity to pause, to figure out what's going on inside, so that we then can show up in a way that is authentic, in a way that's vulnerable, so that we can really move towards the healing that we desire. So what might that look like, you say? Well, it could look like you, first of all, acknowledging that some of the grief work that we're doing is really around narratives that we hold. So there is the emotional part of grief, but there's also the part of the meaning that we make surrounding the loss. Sometimes the meaning that we make is like, girl, are you still grieving over this? Or sometimes we ask ourselves or say to ourselves, but I should be able to move on by now. Have you said anything like that? Well, if you have, know that you are not alone. It's common for us to feel like we have to be the strong one. But when we do that, we don't allow ourselves access to being in a position to move forward. So, here are some things that I want you to remember and even try out to see if they can be beneficial in helping you move to a more meaningful and helpful narrative. First, I start with the tool that we commonly use called the cognitive triangle. If you think about a triangle, if you think about the first diagonal line, it's really about how you are thinking. So what's your thought process? Because we know that our thinking leads to emotions, right? So if I'm thinking about something that's really making me sad, then it's likely that the bottom part of my triangle is going to lead to some emotions. It could be me crying. It could be me sitting with just the heaviness. And from how we feel, it impacts how we behave or how we show up, how we make decisions based on that. So the first thing I want you to do is consider, what are your thoughts around grieving? What are your thoughts around that loss? Are you able to recognize the thoughts? We're not getting into the feelings just yet. We're going to go there. But what are you thinking? Ask yourself some questions about that. And then we move to the emotions. What am I feeling? When I think about that loss of that relationship, or if I think about the loss of how things used to be, like, oh, we're not going to do that tradition this year. How does it make you feel? Do you feel scared? Do you feel relieved? Do you feel sad? Do you feel angry? Do you feel enraged? Do you feel joy? Is there a lightness? The reality is that we often have multiple feelings. So I'm not asking you or encouraging you just to zone in on one, but I am encouraging you to zone in on how in general you're feeling, and then move from the more general feelings to more specific. Now, this is really good work in a journal, because in a journal you can kind of free flow these things. And after you identify those feelings, then I'm going to encourage you to check in with how you are wanting to move forward. First, you can check in with, what have your behaviors been? And then guess what? You get to choose how your behaviors will be going forward. Because our thoughts impact our feelings, and our feelings impact our behaviors and how we show up. Sis, give yourself permission to show up in the moments of joy and in the moments of sadness. You are a human. No need to be superhuman. No need to put on those airs, because those airs are the things that are killing us. Black women, we are literally dying 3.3 years earlier than we need to. Why? Because chronic stress is an invisible killer. But we can regain, we can recover, we can rest, and we can reset. So hopefully those tools that you got today, being mindful of your thoughts, encouraging you to be aware of and feel your feelings, which will then impact your behaviors. So if you are able to do those three things, then I believe that that can support you in moving through the grief process where you don't get stuck, and also where you can have healthy closure. So if you like what I said, I encourage you to subscribe to our channel so you can get more of that information that resonates. If you know of a friend or a family member who can benefit from this, do your part. Share this with them so that they too can learn to take a break before they break. Check out drtinaarmstrong.com to get your free wellness quiz so that you can understand even more clearly the areas where you are striving and the areas where you are thriving. Because we want you to do more than just strive. Sister, we want you to thrive and to flourish. Take care. Be sure to watch the next video on how to manage tenderness in the holiday season. Blessings.